in this video, basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be teaching you guys how to create the cinematic look with the top industry secrets that professional color graders use in the industry, in the film industry, to get that cinematic look. All right, and we're going to be working on a short film that I directed recently called Countless. So the camera that I used was a Blackmagic Raw 6 pocket cinema camera in 6K. We shot at 6K, and the color space was Blackmagic Raw. So let's dive in. Again, if you can follow along if you want, you can do it to your own footage. Keep in mind the genre of my film was a thriller. It was how do I put it? It was mysterious, so that's the look I went for. And make sure to watch till the end of the video, because I will be spilling out secrets throughout the video. So if you just watch the starting part, it won't really make sense, because the secret sauces that I use are gonna be in the middle and towards the end. So make sure to watch till the end of the video. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that like and drop that subscribe, please. So yeah, let's dive right in and let's show you how this amazing look was made. All right, so now if you see immediately when you open DaVinci Resolve, you will not see any of this. So you'll only see like mainly the clip actually. So this is what you're gonna see. This is the footage. So make sure you choose a frame that you wanna call the frame that you want to grade, right? So that is very important. I like to call it the hero image. So choose your hero image, your hero frame for what you want to do. Then what I did is, since there are many clips, I made a group. And again, I'm not going to get into detail as to how to make a group. If you guys want tutorials on that, please comment below. I will be dropping more and more tutorials as and when requested. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of Resolve. For that, I will be coming up with some more fun stuff, which I will tell towards the end. Anyway, so I made a group over here. Basically, this is going to be grouping everything. The first thing that I did was I added a CST, which is a color space transform. So what I did is since I shot it in Blackmagic, I took it from a Blackmagic wide gamut. I put in the gamma, and I put in the color space to DaVinci wide gamut, because DaVinci wide gamut basically has a huge working color space, and over there with that gamut, you can actually stretch colors, and you can stretch it to a little bit more than limit than your usual ACEs or ACEs is huge, but Rec 709, I don't want to work in Rec 709. I want to work in a gamut which gives me the freedom to stretch my colors and the luminance a bit. So I did that. Let me just enable this node. So once I did it, now this, if you see like this over here, is in DaVinci wide gamut at the moment. And then I go to the group post clip, and this is where I converted it to Rec 709. So this, again, I changed from DaVinci wide gamut to Rec 709 gamma 2.4. Now what is Rec 709? It is basically the things that you see on TV, right? That color space is Rec 709. So once I enable that, now look, this is basically what I saw when I was shooting this film. That is what I saw. And now, what is 2383? This is a compound node. Once I open the compound node, you can take a look that I changed the Rec 709. I changed the gamma to a Cineon film log. Now, why do I do that? Is because DaVinci reads Cineon film logs in order to add their film print emulation. Now, what is a film print emulation? When back in the day, when people used to shoot like on film, they would have some emulations on that thing, which would give it that film look. Now, since we don't shoot as much, we shoot digital, but we still want that cinematic look. That's when we add this film look. And the film look only takes it from the Cineon film look. If you don't add this particular thing, this grade will not work. So what I did, I went over here, I did a LUT and film looks, and I did the Rec 709 Kodak 2383. So once you do this, take a look. I'm going to enable this node. It creates that emulation. So before and after, this is before, this is after. You see how much of a difference that creates? So that is my starting point. Now, obviously, if you take a look at it without even doing much, my grade is already looking good, right? It's already looking good. But obviously, it's not the story that I want to tell. So now I want to start making nodes. Now, obviously, if you're coming from Premiere, if you are coming from, let's say, Final Cut Pro or if you're coming from any other software which is not node based, I can bring out another tutorial where I can show you how the node workflow is. So now I'm going to be starting to make some nodes. So we have this one, we'll use this one, we'll use this one, we'll add over here one, we'll add one over here, we'll add a layer mixer. Again, in this tutorial I'm not going to dive deep into how these nodes are, and I'll make a couple of pop-up parallel nodes over here. I'll make 2 more for my vignettes. I'll make 1 more which I'm going to put for halation, and 1 more for grain. So this is going to be my basic node tree. So take a look at it. So I'm going to be using this for denoise. I'm going to be using this for my balancing, the colors. I'm going to be using this for primaries. I'm going to be using this for the secret sauce. This is for customizing the skin. And this one I'm going to use for the vignette. This one I'm going to be using for halation and grain, film grain, which is. All right, so now what I did is I just labeled each and every one of these nodes, and I've also changed some of the values. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I disabled every single node. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to enable each node as I had progressed, and I'm going to showcase exactly how the final look came to play. So the first secret sauce, I call it, it is called industry-wise, it's called the bleached bypass look. Now what is that exactly? So what I've done is I have made first the primaries, right? What have I done in the primaries? Basically, if you see, I have taken the offset, I've increased it all the way up. So for example, if you take a look at it, I've increased the offset all the way up. Now you're like, Jijo, why do you do that? Why are you making it so overexposed? So it was like all the way down here. Now I did it all the way up over there. I did a little bit of gain as well. I decreased the gain because it was clipping. I lifted up the gain a little, the lift a little bit, and the gamma a little bit. Now, wait, what? You'll understand why I did what I did. Now, this is basically called a layer mixer. Now, the way a layer mixer works, if you're coming from an NLE, which is a non-linear editor, basically, if you're coming from layers, you know the concept of layers. Something on top, something on bottom, right? So now, over here in the node, it works a little bit differently. So what I've done is I have added the composite mode as overlay. So now what that does is the layer below, I have desaturated it. Now look at what that did. It created this look called the bleach bypass look. So this is before, this is after, before, after, before, after. So you see how it gives you that silverish look, and that is the look, that is the story that I wanted to tell in this film, right? Take a look, before, after. So that is what I've done first, which is the first secret sauce. Second secret sauce is I have balanced it a little bit. So if you take a look, I have taken the gain, I have put the gain, which is like near the highlights, I've taken that, put in it a little bit to the blue. The gamma and the lift are the same. I've just taken the gain, which is the highlights, I've put that into a little bit of a bluish tone. And if you take a look, before, after, before, after. That's what I've done for this node. Then in this node, I've just added a contrast over here. So it gives that little contrasty look. Now, if you take a look at it, now what's happening over here? Everything is blue. Her skin is going off. You can see the waveform, everything is white. You can take a look at the vector scope. There you go, skin tone. So if you see like right over here, her skin is not really sitting properly over here. So now the next secret sauces are basically the curves. This is where your magic happens. So now take a look at this. The hue versus curve, I have taken the reds, I've increased it a little bit. I've taken the reds basically, and a little bit of the orange, I've increased it a little bit. Now what does that do? I've taken the hue and changed it, and I've taken the saturation of the blue and increased it just a little bit, also of the red. Now what does that do? Take a look. Let me put it to full screen. Now see before and after. This is after, before. You see how that has enabled her skin to pop out? Take a look. Isn't that cool? Now, same thing, I've taken the saturation. Basically, there's this thing called a saturation versus lume curve. I've taken the most saturated and I've increased the luminance just a wee bit. Take a look at that. Before, after. I've taken the luminance of the most saturated areas. I've increased it just a little bit. And now, if you take a look, now I'm just gonna go around here, like her face. Let me go to the waveform. Yeah. Now, the brightest areas of her face. You see these peaks, like right over here, like right here on the waveforms, like right here. So these are the peaks that I want to kind of bring back, because again, this is something which will only be possible if you shot in RAW, but unfortunately, if you don't have it, it will be a little bit more difficult, but I'll tell you what this is. So now, there's this new thing called an HDR grade. Now, it's not the HDR what you see on TV. This is called the high dynamic range. So basically, we have shadows, midtones, and highlights. Now, what this does is it breaks every single thing apart, and it'll go all the way to a black, dark, shadow, light, highlight, specular. So it basically breaks up those three things, and it spreads it out to give you more minute control as to how you want to grade your clip. Now, for example, if you see over here, her forehead, her white dress, her shirt, right over here, you see how all these things are very peaked. Now, all I'm going to do is I've taken the light, and if I want to see what the light is, that is what the light, and I just decreased it. Look at that. That is the light. So you can see, let me show you before and after. This is before. You see how everything is overexposed here on the white. Now I've brought it up just the light without losing the skin. Since I have the minute control of the luminance, I've gotten back the detail of the shirt, of the creases, of the seams, of her texture of her skin. I've done that. Isn't that amazing? HDR comes in clutch, especially when sometimes you overexpose stuff on purpose. This brings back highlights. Some people call it highlight recovery as well. Now, moving on is basically what I've done. This is another thing that I call it my secret sauce. This is the look that I've done. Now, what have I done in the look? Let me go back to my primaries. If you take a look at it, I've added a little bit blue to the lift, which is the shadows. I've added orange, which is a contrast, to the gamma, which is the midtones, and also the gain, I've added just a little bit to the orange side. Again, minor changes makes a big difference. Always remember that. Don't go overboard. Minor differences. Now, there's a difference, yes. You might be saying like there are shadows, midtones, highlights, as well as there are lift, gamma, gain. What's the difference, Jijo? Well, that's another tutorial for another day. I will tell you what those are. Now, what I've done is I've added contrast in the shadows, put the gamma up, put the gain towards the orange. Now, what does that do? Oh, and also, I've added a little bit more contrast. Now, what does that do? Let's take a look. Boom. Now, that's the look that I went for based on the story of this film. Sometimes this is a thriller and a mysterious film, so that's why I chose this look. Sometimes this whole look might be completely different. You might choose an orange and teal look. You might choose something more brighter, something extremely dark. This is a mysterious and thriller look. That's why I chose this. Let's take a look before the look, after the look. Before, after. Now, that's cool, right? Now, then we have to the last pair of these nodes. We have a window. Basically, what I've done is I've added a power window, which is like right here. If you take a look, is basically I've done that, and then I've tracked it forwards and backwards through, where's my tracker? Right here. Now, you can track it if you want to. I am not tracking it. You can just press this, it'll get tracked. Your face will get tracked properly. So what I've done is I've taken that, and I've taken the reverse of that mask, which is right here, and I've taken that curve, and what I've done is I have decreased it just a wee bit. So you can see like right over here, it gives that little vignetting effect. So that these are minor changes, but what this does subconsciously, guys, this helps the user focus more on the character, on what is dominant over here. These minor things, eventually, when I do it, it might seem like it doesn't really matter, but actually, it does matter. Subconsciously, when you look at a film, there are many things that happen on a film, right? These are some of the techniques that you use to, as a director or as a colorist or as an editor, to actually help the audience focus at what you want them to focus on. So over here, I want them to focus here and not on this. That is why I added this. Now, that didn't make much of a difference if you take a look at it, but it does make a big difference subconsciously to your character, to your audience especially. Now, moving on to the next one, which is halation. Now, that's fucking cool. Halation is amazing. Halation is basically nothing but glow. If you take a look at over here, boom, see that? See the borders like right here? That is what the glow is. Right here. Now, all I've done is I've added a processing color, and if I just see just the glow alone, this is the glow. Now, why did I do this? It's one of those things that happens when you want that filmic look. Halation is a must, especially in this film where I'm giving that mysterious feel. I want that dreamy look, so that glow is very, very important. It just elevates the scene. And last but not the least, you have to have grain. Film grain is extremely important. Take a look. It just adds texture. When people used to film on film, like not digital, grain used to automatically be there because that's how film would come. And when you're shooting digital, those things are also important to get that filmy look. These are the secret sauces, guys, to have that cinematic look. So I've chosen a 35mm 400T, and I've just done a compositive overlay, and that gives that super duper texture. Now again, you might think like, oh, why grain? That makes it noisy. No, noise is different, grain is different. Those two are two separate things. Now, whoa, my battery's about to die, guys. 10%. All right, let's try to make this tutorial fun. All right, the last but not the least, we have denoise. Now, what does that do? How did I do that? Let's go over here. Now, I've just taken 2 frames. I've done better. I've done medium, and I've increased the luma and the chroma by 12. I've taken the spatial noise reduction. I've taken faster. I've taken the radius is small. I've delinked the luma, and I have made the chroma to an amount of 8. What that does is it just takes out all the gunkiness in the hair. See, like over here, like right here, it just smooths out a little bit. Whatever noise you might have had, that goes away. So yeah, that's pretty much, guys, the look. Let me just over here. Before, this is the raw. After, before, after. So you see, guys, we've come a long way, and just by these basic minor adjustments, you can copy these settings if you want. You can pause the video, copy these settings one by one, and try practice on your footage and see how it looks. All right, this is Jijo, your sensei, signing off. Peace.